Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the Twitter situation. I have come to realize that it is probably hopeless to expect to be let back on there as a controversial person. You can't just say politically correct things and then expect advertisers to pay for the infrastructure, because I see now that was naive to think that's how it works. It doesn't work that way, because advertisers are not going to advertise on the same platform where somebody is saying something that's not hyper correct according to liberal feminist ideals, right? So that's just not gonna happen. Twitter is 90% ad revenue funded, and advertisers are already threatening boycott before Elon Musk has let a single controversial person back on Twitter. So, you're not going to have controversial people there. It's a lost cause for that. Unless Twitter can be nationalized. That's what I'm thinking currently. That would be best. It should simply be nationalized. It's American property, with the justification that it is basic infrastructure, that you cannot allow private ownership over something so basic and important. It's like the roads, right? You can't have the roads being privately owned and then the owner saying that only liberals are allowed to drive on this road, and if you have an opinion that we don't like, then you can't drive on the roads. Because that's what they are in effect doing on Twitter right now. And yes, Twitter is that important, because in theory that's the public square of the internet where you can speak and have people actually listen to it on the same platform, right? And we're seeing that it doesn't work because conservatives and liberals don't get along. They hate each other too much to coexist on the same platform and have it be financed by advertisers. It just doesn't work. It just becomes a one-sided leftist platform. And that's what Elon Musk is going to find out when he tries to let controversial people back on. He's not going to have funding anymore. So that those $44 billion investment just going to be lost unless he just gives up on the idea of free speech, which he probably will do. But if it were up to me, I would say nationalize Twitter. Let the taxpayers pay for it, and allow all legal speech, and allow everyone back on who has been banned previously. We're going to forget about all that old moderation and have one new rule. All legal speech permitted, except spam, of course. And I'm happy to prove my identity. Everyone can do that. We don't need anonymity here. Let's maybe even pay a membership. Oh, maybe that would make it scare away too many users. I don't know, but at least it's okay to have no anonymity. I'm happy to prove who I am like I'm doing right now, speaking under my full name. I can do that on Twitter, and I have done that the whole time since 2009. And my first account lasted for 10 years and then got banned simply for saying that women can't rape men, right? Simply for stating an obvious fact. An obvious fact, unless you're corrupted by political correctness into denying these common sense truths, because you're supposed to pretend that these feminist myths are real. So, and that's something I can't do. I get banned for being myself. And sooner or later, even if you try very hard, it's gonna shine through who you really are. And then you get banned for life just for saying one thing like that. That's how Twitter is today. And obviously it's unacceptable unless you want to just have a one-sided leftist forum, and then maybe the conservatives can make a forum for themselves that is a little bit smaller, but it won't be the same, right? And both sides, the conservatives and the feminists, will not let somebody like me on who is a sexualist, because they both hate sexuality, right? There's zero tolerance to sexuality in this civilization. And we are kidding ourselves if we think any aspect of sexuality is still legal. Whenever you shine a light on sexuality, you always find criminality. And that's one of the biggest delusions of our time, that we supposedly don't criminalize all of sexuality yet. Just think about it. Think about how many sex crimes the average man is guilty of. And the penalties for all those crimes, if all those sex crimes were convicted, then the average man gets more prison time than his life. Just from a fraction of all the sex crimes would exceed all the man years on the planet, right? I mean, you can imprison all men just for paying for sex, and if that's not enough, throw in some false rape accusations or redefined rape accusations. And I'm not talking about false, I'm talking about completely factual. He did these things and they're defined as rape now just because he didn't ask for consent or something. We all do it, we don't ask for consent every time. That's completely normal. But now it is a crime under the most recent feminist laws, and they can have you imprisoned for that. And when every single sexually active man is guilty enough to be locked up for life, then it is retarded to think it's not a zero tolerance society for sexuality. It's zero tolerance, because every man has more sex crimes to him than he has life left to serve the prison time if all this were convicted. So how you get along right now, if you're not imprisoned yet, is to fool yourself to think that it's not all criminal yet. And somehow you're exempt. You didn't commit these crimes. Maybe just everybody else did and not you. That's how the average man thinks. That's a kind of double think that he's using to cope with feminist sex laws. But anyway, I get banned on Twitter when I talk about this. I'll probably get banned here if I were to be popular here, because banning is closely related to popularity. You can't have a politically incorrect idea get popular in this society. It's so tightly controlled by the left. So I say, nationalize Twitter. Allow all legal speech, and then it will function as the kind of platform that it should be. That's my opinion.